And the biggest question, the looming question, everybody waited months to find out what the answer was going to be. They are still somewhat waiting for the real answer. But the Steelers know who their rookie quarterback of 2025 will be, and it is Will Howard. But everybody wants to know in the 6th round, things are different. If Shedeur Sanders went in the 1st, if Jackson Dart went in the 1st, if the Steelers went Tyler Shuck or Jalen Milroe in the 2nd, if Will Howard was a 3rd-round pick, there's expectations that if Aaron doesn't show up, if Aaron Rodgers isn't here, the Pittsburgh Steelers know their starting quarterback. And they'll give the rookie a shot because the rookie deserves a shot. As a 6th-round pick, is that different? Do the Pittsburgh Steelers view Will Howard as a starter? Maybe not right now, but ever throughout his tenure in the NFL and with the Pittsburgh Steelers? What is it going to take to get this kid on the field? And is he worth putting out on the field for the Pittsburgh Steelers? These are all questions that need to be answered, that will eventually be answered, but I think everybody wants answers now, or at least some sort of answer now. Is Will Howard the future of the Pittsburgh Steelers? And the only way to find that out is to put him on the field, right? Well, we'll start with this. Ben Roethlisberger had a pretty good compliment for the new rookie quarterback, saying on his podcast, Footballin' with Ben, quote, "You draft him in the 6th round, it's like, okay, whatever. If he works out, great. If he doesn't, he's a 6th rounder." There's been some pretty good ones that have come in the late rounds. Tom Brady. And no, I'm not trying to say Will Howard is Tom Brady, but I like this pick. There are a lot of people who say, who cares when he was drafted? Who cares that he's a dude that maybe had a limited crazy success in college football? Because that's who Will Howard is. Will Howard is a guy who, before the college football playoffs, was not the greatest college football quarterback. He was a dude who just was pretty average, at best, average. But when things got intense and the Ohio State Buckeyes needed to go on a run and they needed to win the national championship, Will Howard played his best football. And I'll say this. I don't think that a 6th-round pick makes you, in the Pittsburgh Steelers' eyes, a starting quarterback in 2025. And there are things about Will Howard that I am not super high on. Many things. I think he's an average quarterback, and my expectation for him is to be Mason Rudolph and be a backup quarterback for the next decade. That's my expectations for him. But I could be wrong. I'm wrong all the time. Will Howard, what I love about him in those same sentences is that I make the argument constantly that it does not matter how good of a college quarterback you are, that the greatest college quarterbacks outside of Michael Vick and Lamar Jackson go on to do very little in the NFL. There's a significant difference between NFL quarterbacks and college football quarterbacks and what makes you great. Will Howard is pretty average in college, but he's got the skill set that you want to work with in the NFL. He's got the tangibles that you'd like to work with in the NFL. And because of that, you have to look at it and say, well, a lot of average college quarterbacks become great NFL quarterbacks. And Will Howard was as average as it comes in college football. And that to me is a positive. That to me is a guy who contains the skill set to say, I did not shine in college until right at the end, but I have some mobility. I have the pocket presence. I have the arm strength. I could learn the mental side of this. I mean, a year ago, we're talking about Justin Fields. What does Justin Fields need to improve on? Anticipation. The mental side of the game. Can Justin Fields become a passer up here because he's able to get things done on the field athletically and with his arm? Will Howard can do the same thing. Can he get it done up here? I think that's massive. Massive. And it gives him much higher upside than many, myself included, will give him credit for. Will he become a starting quarterback for the Steelers? That is the question. We'll start with this. In 2025, from everything I have been told, it will be Aaron Rodgers. And I know people are tired about hearing about Aaron Rodgers. I'm tired about talking about Aaron Rodgers. I don't want to sit here and go on a rant about why Aaron Rodgers will be the starting quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I'll explain it swiftly. Aaron Rodgers is 41 years old. He's a 4-time Super Bowl MVP. He is, at this point in his career, the definition of a bridge quarterback. The Pittsburgh Steelers are looking for a bridge quarterback. And because of the bridge quarterback in Aaron Rodgers, there is no other starting quarterback on the roster in 2025, no matter who you are or what your upside is. Aaron Rodgers is coming to Pittsburgh to be the starter. End of story. That is what it will be. That is what the Pittsburgh Steelers want it to be. Does not matter if it should be. Does not matter if someone wants it to be different. It is about, are the Pittsburgh Steelers going to change that? The answer is no. When you look at it from a glance, Aaron Rodgers is going to be the guy. That is everything I've been told. And like I keep saying, I expect it to happen very soon. Now, Will Howard will get some competition because I am not sold by anything the Pittsburgh Steelers have ever done with Mason Rudolph that he is going to be handed the number 2 job. That is just not how the Pittsburgh Steelers operate. If there is a quarterback named Mason Rudolph, the Pittsburgh Steelers are open to screwing him over. That's what they do. They are excellent at giving Mason Rudolph an opportunity and then taking it away. That is what they excel at. One of Mike Tomlin's best qualities, maybe not best, most consistent qualities throughout his coaching tenure is making sure Mason Rudolph is as miserable as humanly possible with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So you're telling me that he's going to be the number 2 guaranteed? No shot. Will Howard's going to get a chance to compete against Mason Rudolph for QB2. That's significant. QB2 is a good job in the NFL. QB2 gets your reps. QB2 with a 41-year-old quarterback as your starter means he's not practicing every day of the week and you're running the first team offense. That's big. Once a week, at least, Aaron Rodgers will not be on that practice field, and Will Howard could be if he beats Mason Rudolph. Now, this season's awesome, but what about next season? Because that's when it starts. If you're going to start Will Howard, it's going to go next season. That's when it begins. The Pittsburgh Steelers are going to go and draft a quarterback next year. That's going to happen. And they're going to do it in the first round. That's almost definitely going to happen. It does not matter who they go and get. They want competition. That's what their plan was the entire time. You looked at it and said, you got to get a quarterback this year so that next year when you get your guy, you have somebody to compete with. You have a guy that if your guy stinks for some reason or needs a year or whatever, you have another young option who can lead you where you need to go. Will Howard. That's the guy. Next year, Will Howard's going to get a shot to compete. I don't know if that shot's going to be good. Will Howard could walk onto the practice field in Latrobe this year and stink, and it could all go down the tube, and it's done. But if Will Howard looks good this year, if Will Howard continues to impress and improve throughout the offseason, and then next year, the Pittsburgh Steelers go and draft a quarterback, they will 100% make Will Howard a competition piece against that quarterback. I have a feeling he's not going to win, but it's competition, and it's a place where Will Howard gets a shot. So that's how it'll go down. If Will Howard's going to start for the Pittsburgh Steelers, it will be in 2026. That's when it'll happen. Aaron Rodgers is coming this year. I continue to tell you, Aaron Rodgers is coming this year, and he's coming soon. The Steelers are going to step on the field at OTAs and minicamp, and if I had to bet, Aaron Rodgers is going to be with them. That would be my guess. That does not leave room for another quarterback, and it means that things got to move quick because Aaron Rodgers has got to get situated and comfortable within this unit, within this scheme, within everything that's going on. But Tom Arth is here to develop young guys. That's what his job is. And he's going to get an opportunity to do so in Will Howard. Arthur Smith's going to get a year under his belt to work with Will Howard and see what he could do. And I'm telling you, for a 6th-round pick, this is not Josh Dobbs. This is not Chris Oladokun. This is not an exciting piece that we're making up to be something bigger than it is, but really it's just nonsense that we're spewing from the mouth. That's not the case. It is, by all means, a kid that fell to the 6th in a draft class where everybody was playing chicken with Shedeur Sanders, and it meant that all these quarterbacks fell. The Steelers didn't want Dillon Gabriel. They didn't want Jalen Milroe. They wanted Kyle McCord. I'll name you the three. If the Steelers were going to draft a quarterback in 2025, you want to know what 3 quarterbacks would have been? It would have been Will Howard, Kyle McCord, potentially Quinn Ewers. Potentially. That would have been the 3 to watch. It wasn't Shedeur. It wasn't any of this. So as these guys fell, Shedeur chicken continued. The Steelers got lucky. Now this is a guy who probably has a 3rd round grade who's going to get a shot at some point. If Will Howard's going to start, it's going to be in 2026. This year, it's going to be Aaron Rodgers. But look for competition with Mason Rudolph and look for Will Howard to get a real shot to compete in that competition for Will Howard or for QB2. And if you're going off ESPN's predictions, because ESPN loves to make wild predictions, they predicted Aaron Rodgers is going to have 19 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. I'll tell you right now, if Aaron Rodgers throws 19 touchdowns and 10 interceptions, the Steelers are not going to finish the season with Aaron Rodgers as their starting quarterback. That's not going to happen because they're not going to look at him and say, this dude's going to win a Super Bowl. That's not going to happen. If that's the case, this is the year where the Steelers try desperately to get their offense to work. This is what this is, because it needs to work to some degree so that next year there's a starting ground for the young quarterback. Door could open. It could. Do I expect it to? Hell no. But it could open. It definitely could. All right. I missed yesterday, and the way I'm going to make up for that is I'm going to make sure that I start answering questions early. We've got about 45 minutes instead of me blabbing from the mouth a week after the NFL draft and going over a bunch of nothing, because there is absolutely nothing happening with the Pittsburgh Steelers. For those of you who do not know, rookie minicamp will be next weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We'll have plenty of content then. And then OTAs is 2 weeks after that, and then we'll be good. But for right now, there ain't much going on. There's a lot of talk. There's a lot of Shedeur sliding, blah, 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 blah. We talked about all that. The Steelers didn't want Shedeur. They didn't. It's crazy. It's crazy sounds. They didn't. At the end of it, when the dust settled, it just was revealed the Steelers were putting on a smoke show or a smoke screen. It was a damn good one. And just like the rest of the NFL, wasn't what they were looking for.